Thank you so much, Bob. What an incredible blessing to be here, my friends. It is so good to be back in the heartland. I think of it as America's family room, or maybe America's big Thanksgiving table. I think actually Bob came up with that one. But anyway, it's just great to be here. And for you to get our whole Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America team out of Washington, D.C. to this gathering where we, the people, is the beginning of a rally cry for God's people to embrace his tiniest creations, those that he fearfully and wonderfully made, those that he knit together in his mother's wombs, and then the cry also to reject the horrors that his creatures, his precious little boys and girls, would stand at the hands of his other creations. Something's fundamentally wrong. But we, the people, built a human rights movement over 5 decades to restore life and dignity to children and their mothers. So let's assess for a minute where we stand. 3 years ago, June 24th, 2022, the Supreme Court delivered a landmark win for human rights in the Dobbs case, restoring the right to protect children in the womb to we, the people, and our elected representatives, not unelected judges. And by God's grace and years of work, Roe v. Wade was no more. I cannot clap enough for that fact. I don't care how many times we say overturn Roe v. Wade, it's done. Let's just do it again. So many people said it was impossible. It was a credit to tireless work, to marching and praying and electing, cajoling, converting other people's minds. And I know that many of you, I bet a lot of you, will never forget the moment where you and where you were the moment that that news came down. I know that I won't forget, but think back to that moment, that impossible moment. We were gathered at our SBA Pro-Life America in our conference room, our little family there, waiting for the last decision of the last day of the long summer Supreme Court term, and finally, the good news at 10:10 in the morning. Maybe that was a God wink, but I don't think so. I think it was a God neon sign, because I think you know what John 10:10 is. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy, but I have come to give life and give it to the full. What a gift. To me, that's the landmark. That is the line in the sand. It would not have happened without a president who understands the importance of confirming justices at all levels, who will uphold the Constitution and the right to life, and who would not shy away from that fight. Has he shied away from any fight? No. Even when you disagree with him, he will not back down. This one, you wanted him on this. It would not have happened without you-know-who, the 45th and the 47th President of the United States, Donald Trump. Many of you, most of you, were central to this victory in the unique way that Iowa changes the country, but also in your day-to-day life. SBA Pro-Life America is proud to have established the largest pro-life voter contact program in the country to persuade and turn out millions of key pro-life voters in battlegrounds over the several years. History has proved over and over in our American history that elections matter, and elections have consequences. That is the gift of our democracy. We, the people, have the power to right tragic wrongs. We've done so throughout American history, and we are doing so right now. Right before your very eyes, we're right in the middle of it. So let's get started. Everyone who said Roe was the indestructible entity missed the story. They underestimated the profound truth of this cause and the strength of the pro-life movement. They saw the money and the power on the other side, and they forgot the truth and the power of our own cause on our side. Today, nearly half the states have enacted strong pro-life protections, as strong as those states could be, and we're still working on it. As you know, here in Iowa, thanks to the courage of your legislature, your governor, you yourself who lobbied for strong protections, over 2,000 children a year are protected under your heartbeat law. 2,000 children a year are protected. Governor Reynolds, thank you from the bottom of our beating hearts for your courage, and for everyone in this room who's done all you can do. These laws save lives. We used to always say that, and now it's turning out to be true. We will know, we will meet the children, and we already are meeting them. Little boys and girls, each one intended for this world, created for a special purpose that only he or she could fulfill. When they're missing, we have a hole in our culture, and someone who was sent to solve a problem that never gets solved. Each one of them we miss. So when they show up, we are better off for it. People like little Jacob, who we know in Florida, or Nisha's son in Georgia, who were saved by the laws of those states. And the list goes on. And I look forward to that growing list over time and finding out what those children do in this world. And there's more good news. The one big, beautiful bill that the president just signed into law last week, I know you've been hearing about it already, but I want you to hear from me what an incredible miracle that was. After 50 years of work, Planned Parenthood and big abortion, Planned Parenthood, the largest abortion giant in the country, lost its biggest source of federal funding for the first time ever. This battle against this evil empire has been 5 decades in the making. So here we are at the beginning. We'll keep going back every year to do the same thing. Planned Parenthood kills 400,000 children a year, and they hardly treat women any better. Even the New York Times, of all entities, did an expose of their horrific standards, botched procedures, one that ended with a stillbirth, sewage left leaking that had women vomiting in the recovery room, HIV and syphilis tests that were never followed up upon, regularly running out of medications. These are not isolated instances. They're systemic to the abortion industry, which cares about profits over women, and certainly cares about profits over the lives of our children. I encourage everyone to look up this New York Times story by Karen Benner if you haven't seen it. It's called Planned Parenthood in Crisis. And they are, thanks be to God. For 10 years, Planned Parenthood has used, for more than 10 years, for 50 years, Planned Parenthood has used our tax dollars not to increase health care for the poor or serve women, but to grow their share of grow their market share of abortions and gender transitions, and to advocate against and defeat our pro-life heroes, to use their powerful cash pots to defeat our pro-life laws, and to fuel activism that has at sometimes jeopardized without question those who would be in public office that could lead to such pro-life victories. And meanwhile, even that thin veneer of health services that they offer is plummeting. Breast exams, pap smears, cancer screenings, they've all dropped by 50% while their abortion numbers escalate. Even now, with an existential loss, they are still doubled down and found a federal judge to sue to try to undo this defunding on the federal level. They will not stop. They will not stop, and neither will we. They will fail, and we will go back every single year. Every single year that we are in power, that we keep the House and the Senate and the presidency, we will keep them out of our tax bills. Our taxes will now support our neighbors, women who deserve and need our help, not billion-dollar abortion businesses. So a recent headline in The Guardian read, Planned Parenthood may not survive the Trump administration. That was good news. Chuck Schumer says that 200 Planned Parenthood centers will close their doors across the country if this defunding thing happened. And so guess what? It started to happen. And it started in Iowa's backyard, in this state itself. 4 closures right here in Iowa just in the last week. How about that? And they said why. They said because of this defunding. They said because of losing support. They said for all the reasons that we'd hoped that somehow their power, their money could not sustain them past a defunding moment like this. They simply can't get the support that they need. And why? Because we, the people, spoke. On top of that, the Supreme Court agreed just 2 weeks ago that South Carolina, of course, has the right to pick its providers in its own Medicaid program, and they are allowed now to defund South Carolina, and they will. And so will all the states that were teed up to do the same. Defunding in 3 states was going to happen very soon, and then many states are lined up after that. Of course, they had the right to defund, and they are. Their gravy train is coming to an end. Our part in being complicit in that is coming to an end. And this victory, don't let anybody tell you that it's not a significant victory. After 50 years, it's the most significant victory after Dobbs that we've experienced so far. There is no question about it. So it's also our opportunity now to serve women and children better than we ever have before. They deserve real and comprehensive love and care. And they will get that at community centers all over the country that outnumber Planned Parenthoods by 15 to 1 nationwide. Study after study shows that women overwhelmingly choose their children. They choose not to abort. They would have chosen to not abort if they just had the concrete support that they needed. And the pro-life movement offers that. In this town, in the next town over, and towns all across the country, we are there for them. So there's good news, and I think you all know that the battle is far from over. What Americans waking up the morning of June 24th, 2022 had yet to learn is that while the single biggest obstacle to progress for 50 years would be removed, all children were, of course, not automatically protected. A lot of people were kind of burdened with that thought. But as Winston Churchill said, now is not the end. It is not even the beginning of the end, but it is perhaps the end of the beginning. So we've begun, and here we are in this beautiful chapter. And here's a sobering statistic from our research arm, the Charlotte Lozier Institute, to consider and to understand why we are really only at the beginning. And that is that 1.1 million, at least, abortions now are committed annually. This is up from the day that Dobbs came down. Abortions in this country are up. How could this possibly be after this incredible victory? Why? It's very simple. Because abortion activists don't respect the law. They don't respect state sovereignty. They're working tirelessly to undermine everything the pro-life movement and President Trump has done. Everything that we have achieved, they are determined to take it back. We face a reality in our country that we're living in 2 very different Americas. One state protects unborn children all through 9 months. What a beautiful gift. And then a few miles away over the border, the same child can be aborted at any point through all 9 months. 9 states and DC have no limits whatsoever. You can abort up until the day the baby is born. And just this month, an all trimester, they call it, abortion facility opened in Democratic-controlled Illinois, taking the lives of children up to what they say roughly 34 weeks. From here, that's about an hour-and-a-half flight. That's exactly what they purport to do, to get Iowa babies into that clinic and without any love or care or support for the women who have certainly needs, and the need is not to abort. California Governor Gavin Newsom launched a billboard blitz on pro-life states, advertising to women to come get abortions, paid for with campaign funds, obscenely quoting the gospel, "Love your neighbor as yourself," he says. What an abomination. God will not be mocked. Groups like the ACLU are leading the assault on pro-life states with deceptively written ballot initiatives all over the country, trying to get unlimited abortion in state constitutions. They succeeded on many levels. And when this happens, of course, it binds the hands of legislators to enact laws in their own states. And this is, of course, all bankrolled with the deep-pocketed donors that they have. They will simply not stop this. While we won in Florida and South Dakota and Nebraska, we learned a little template for how to get this thing done. We know that those assaults are going to continue, and so we have to be ready. Abortion activists, given immunity by shield laws, they call them, in blue states, are flooding every state with dangerous abortion drugs mailed directly to homes without any medical oversight or safeguards. Not only can they get into the hands of minors, but also abusers, angry boyfriends and ex-husbands, and slip them into the drink of a mother who never even considered having an abortion, which of course happens. And those reports are coming in all the time. The abortions are getting stockpiled in medicine cabinets, on campuses, in abusers by pimps. Everyone who thinks they might have to get rid of the problem is stocking up on those pills. And the abortion industry lies through its teeth. It says that the drugs are safer than Tylenol. What an unmitigated lie. And of course, this has been debunked. Our Charlotte Lozier Institute has got all the data on why. But I think you know instinctually that if you can't get a sonogram and find out if you have an ectopic pregnancy and you take a pill, you are in more danger than you would by just taking a Tylenol. And the list goes on in terms of the other harms. All that data is coming in. They offer them for sale through the websites and apps that will ship them to anyone completely free of face-to-face interaction with a doctor. Doctors in this case are apparently protecting that doctor-patient relationship in this situation. Now that's out the door. You don't hear about that anymore. That this is a question between a woman and her doctor. And now it's a question between a woman and an abortionist in New York who just is shipping these pills because the abortion right is the big panacea. No wonder women are completely unprepared for the severe pain, the bleeding, the ER visits, the passing of a fully formed, intricately formed little baby in their own home, which they have turned into an abortion clinic. Unprepared to live in that abortion clinic that is their home. Imagine the trauma. Where is the love and concern for these women? Where health care for women? That's what they're talking about. More than 1/3 of women who've had abortions report attempting suicide. And nearly all of them say that abortion contributed to this. The same activists instruct them to deceive their doctors and say that they're having a miscarriage when they go into the ER. So doctors, of course, can't with full knowledge know how to treat these patients. So treatment gets delayed, and the reports of harms, sepsis, hemorrhaging, death continue to come in. And the abortion industry's attitude was summed up in a recent investigative article on abortion sellers. They pack a little note in there that says, "We wish you the best. We wish you the best." Are you kidding me? And if you need emergency medical intervention to save your life, or help with anything else in your life that drove you to that abortion clinic door, well, you know what? Good luck. That's the attitude. These advocates for women. Governor Reynolds shared with me how aware and saddened she is about the damage from abortion tourism and the pills coming into this state, and it has to stop. President Trump's FDA has promised a thorough review of the data that Biden and Obama ignored and shut down as they changed any rules surrounding the abortion pill during the COVID because women had to desperately get pills without any medical supervision during COVID because they couldn't go out, right? And so there are no rules surrounding it. Big abortion's war on unborn children and their mothers is a national threat. Let me just say it again. Big abortion's war on unborn children is a national threat, and it requires national leaders to defeat it. If we do not fight back, even the most pro-life state won't be pro-life for very long. The assaults are just too lethal. So what do we, the people, do when we see our victories being undermined? As we look to the near future, to 2026 and beyond, there's a stark difference between the two parties on this issue. I think we all know that. We especially need a presidential champion who will take this fight head on at this moment in such a time as this. We need a candidate who would recognize that there is a 14th Amendment justification of equal protection for national limits on abortion, the strongest that we can possibly get. Now is not the time to hide. There is no time for the ostrich strategy, we call it. This is the time to go on offense, for a national leader to follow this one that has been who has delivered on all of his pro-life promises. We need a new leader for a new moment who will take us into the future and protect and preserve our victories and our children. In 2024, we defeated the most pro-abortion presidential ticket in American history. We halted the radical abortion agenda on the federal level for now. And there's good news coming from polling in general, among young people especially. The good news, and this good news goes against the entire media narrative since Dobbs. You know, they believe that the world is turned against this position because of the Dobbs view. But the pro-life identification in general is way up among all people, and support for unlimited abortion until the end is way down. But most interestingly and encouraging is that pro-life identification, specifically among people between the ages of 18 to 29, is up 11 points. People saying, I am pro-life, between the ages of 18 and 29 are up 11 points. This is a poll that happens every year, and it almost never changes. And this is the change since Dobbs. And then support for it being legal in all circumstances is down 19 points because they see this is real. It's not a joke. You can't hide behind Roe v. Wade anymore. This has become a reality in people's lives now. They're having discussions in the family room, at the Thanksgiving table. They're having the discussions. It's real, and therefore, reality, because of your work, our work, is changing the way America is seeing what this Holocaust is. In America, where you live should never determine whether you live. Geography has nothing to do with equal protection under the law. Equal protection for all in California, that little baby, and the little baby in Iowa, they have of equal value. The fact that the USA, the land of the free and the brave, is one of only 8 nations in the world that allows abortion up until the very end is a national shame. Who are we as a nation? We're North Carolinians, we're Iowans, we're Virginians, but we're also Americans. What do we stand for when it comes to our children? Working shoulder to shoulder, we the people have the power to restore the blessings of liberty and the inalienable right to life for our children. We can turn this story of a divided America into one of triumph, and it begins here in Iowa with the Republican caucuses. Isn't that the best news ever? To me, it is. I know you are very well aware of the crucial role that you have in the process in picking a president who will lead us into the future. What a point of encouragement, and it should be for the whole country, and a point of encouragement and motivation that Iowans will be decisive in how the GOP approaches the issue of abortion in the next elections. We have to demand that anyone seeking our vote live up to the promise that has been made in every Republican platform after platform after platform after platform, that unborn children should be protected in the law. They must commit to this. Today, I am calling on all voters to send that clear message at this pivotal point in history, this greatest human rights battle of our time. The voters need a national leader that acknowledges the 14th Amendment equal protection of all children all over the country. And we can do this together. God bless you.